Hello and welcome to another edition of the Examiner Gamer Podcast. I'm your host as always, Tristan, and I am joined once again by Lauren.
Hey guys.
She has returned from her sabbatical.
Yep. I'm back. Can't get rid of me.
Exactly. And this is going to be another weird show, just like last time when Shay and I talked about all the Nintendo news. This one is going to be more focused on our special Extra Life segment because there's not a lot of games coming out.
So we're allowed to branch out once in a while.
Yeah, exactly. And I really want to talk about summer movies and just movies coming out soon because the summer months are usually the months where games just don't come out. Witcher 3 is coming out at the end of May, and Batman's coming out at the end of June, and there's like some other sporadic releases, but otherwise it's pretty much a dead
dry.
Summer. But the movies are starting again, so this is the time to talk about that. So it's going to be a little bit of a preview, and of course this all started with Star Wars, but we'll get into that. We'll talk a lot about Star Wars, all the stuff that was announced last week. A little bit of the news, of course. There's a lot of trailers for that part of the segment too, but let's kick things off first with the playlist, which, again, not a lot has come out. I played Mortal Kombat X. I really haven't played the games since the Nintendo or Super Nintendo. I haven't really been keeping up with it. I just know that the last game that came out, which was the 2009 one, which kind of rebooted the series, was pretty good. So I decided to jump back into this one too, and it's like a really weird, campy story that's like very goofy, but also kind of fun. It's brutal, as you would expect from a Mortal Kombat game.
There's some good finishers from what I've seen on YouTube. And
there's one where Liu Kang, basically, his finisher is he jumps up in the air, digs his feet into someone's torso, and then splits them apart by doing the splits. There's also one where Johnny Cage punches someone in the ball so hard that their head explodes.
It's been known to happen. I do that in Resident Evil sometimes with the zombies.
Yeah, I punch people and their heads explode. I do that in real life, too. Yeah, I mean, it's a game that's all about, playing with their friends. And
I'll have to check it out. The only Mortal Kombat game I played for the Game Boy Color, I think. I owned one for the Game Boy Color.
Wow.
It wasn't very good.
I heard things about this Mortal Kombat. I think you should probably play it out. Oh my god, what's happening? Of course, on the Game Boy Color, I imagine there's nothing. Can't even understand what's happening.
It was just little, pixelated blood explosions.
Did that guy die? I can't even tell. I definitely recommend it for a rent if you don't, you're not very familiar with anything Mortal Kombat since, way back in the day when you were a kid. Just because, again, you should check out the story because it's, really crazy and bonkers. And it's just kind of fun to see all the new combos and weird, crazy, bone-breaking things. It's just kind of a sight to behold. It's kind of like a throwback to very early bloody stuff. But you actually have been on the up and up of two newer games as well.
I played some of Titan Souls that came out, this last week or so. Didn't play a lot of it. I was with some friends and we just kind of kept swapping back and forth. I was really bad at it. But if you don't know, it's a game where you have one arrow and you go and fight these giant bosses, and it's more or less like a one-hit kill. You can shoot your arrow, and if you miss or if you have to shoot the guy a couple times, then you can call your arrow back to you. But it's kind of like Shadow of the Colossus meets Zelda with, all the bosses have a little trick to get them, and then they're all one-hit kills. It's a pretty basic game. There's two buttons, one to run, and if you tap it, you'll do a dodge. And then there's shoot and call back your arrow. So those are the buttons, and then the joystick to move, of course. The bosses were really hard. I don't think I ever finished one, but I think we got through about 4 or 5 of them. The first boss is like a slime. You shoot your arrow at it, and it breaks into 2 parts, and one part has the heart, and if you shoot the part with the heart again, then it breaks into 2 parts. So you eventually just want to get it so it's just the heart, but if you shoot the wrong bubble, then that one breaks into 2 parts, and next thing you know, you've got 1,600 little slime balls coming at you, and it's terrifying.
Not a fan of games that, if you get hit once, that's it.
Yeah, one hit and you're dead, yeah. I personally would never buy this game, because I would get too frustrated with it. But it was fun to play at, borrowing it at somebody's house.
It seems like one of those fun games to swap between back and forth.
Especially that way you don't get, bang your head into a wall frustrated.
So that's pretty cool. What's the other game that you played?
After having talked about nearly every podcast I've been on, got the new Xenoblade Chronicles for the 3DS.
But did you get Shulk?
I did get Shulk. But yeah, I never played the Wii version. It's really good. I'm really enjoying it. The graphics are a little down-res from what I remember seeing of the Wii version, and I find I really enjoy playing it more with the 3D off because it crisps up the graphics a little bit better.
Also, the frame rate, I imagine, too.
Frame rate's not too bad.
Oh, okay.
It's not too bad.
You know what? Before we
And
started
the
this, I
loading-
should have actually looked at it so I could compare what my memory is of the Wii version to the 3DS
we can do it after,
version.
and then you can add an addendum in here.
It looks good.
But no, it's good. The controls are good. The load times are good. I would have to say, and I think I've seen other people make the same complaint, at times it feels almost too big for a handheld. Like you're exploring the world and it's so huge and you have to really move the camera around to see everything. And then what I find annoying is you're going through towns, and when you walk past an NPC, they just get like this little thought bubble that comes out with some dialogue in it. So if you walk past a bunch of them, all of a sudden your whole screen's taken up with like text bubbles. That gets a little annoying. It really makes the screen feel cramped. And sometimes in battle, the screen feels a little cramped sometimes. Like it's just too small for everything that's going on. But it really hasn't taken away from my enjoyment of the game. I still don't know, like, if you have a 3DS like XL, I don't know if I would go out and buy the new one just for this game, unless you were a huge fan of it. But I really recommend it if you have the 3DS XL and you like JRPGs.
Well, good. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I definitely loved it for the Wii, and I really want to come back to it once you finish on the 3DS. But let's move on to the news now. Alright, Lauren, let's crack open a fresh bag of news.
So, a lot of teasers out there. Again, a lot of trailers. So, first up, we have Black Ops 3, which you didn't see the trailer, Lauren.
I did not.
But essentially, it was just like a rehash of stuff that happened in the previous games, and then announcing it with like a label. Like,
Okay. So
Kinda
it
like
wasn't
the-
like a trailer. It was
kind
a
of like
real
the
teaser.
kind of like the Terminator trailer. It was like dun 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 dun. And the two got split in the middle and became a 3. I'm like,
Whoa.
all right, yeah. And
Whoa.
so I mean, I'm a little disappointed that they're actually making a 3, not a brand new series. But hey, that's the new Call of Duty, so that's out there. Eventually, they'll show some stuff. Probably at E3. This next one kind of shows a little bit, which is Project Cross Zone 2, which I'm actually like mega surprised that 1, they're making a sequel to, and 2, that they're actually bringing it over here.
Yeah,
Which,
because you were surprised 1 came over here.
yeah, because it's like so many properties. It is, for those who don't know, Project Cross Zone is a strategy RPG that has Capcom, Namco Bandai, and Sega characters all in one. You're on a grid. You move your character to fight somebody.
So it's a tactics game.
It's a tactics game, but when you go into battle, it's more like a fighter. You like do combos. It's like really kind of crazy. And I wasn't really impressed with the story for the first one, but I thought the combat and seeing all the characters like blend together, like seeing like Mega Man interacting with the characters from Resident Evil and maybe some people from Tekken. It's just all kind of crazy and just very fun and very fan servicey. It's pretty great, if not a little shallow. Next is, we all knew it was coming, which is Guitar Hero Live.
Play Freebird.
And if you haven't seen the trailer is...
Live.
It is... It shows like a guy going up to stage, his first-person view, and you go on stage, and the meter goes in the middle of a crowd. And essentially what Activision did was they filmed a live audience twice. Once for good performances and once for bad performances. So like they'll cheer, but if you're doing bad, they'll boo. So you're always competing in like live audiences, but live in quotes because they were previously recorded.
So basically, you just see the disembodied voices that were cheering or booing you from the first games.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all real. So like they're bringing back FMV games, which is the first thing I thought of, like, bringing back FMV games, but like in a Guitar Hero? Very weird. And you're a cover band that's trying to be the real band, but you're not doing cover songs. It is the voices of the people doing the things. And then there's the single player stuff, which is called TV mode, which is basically the normal stuff that you would do in the original Guitar Hero, except they have music videos playing in the background instead of just seeing like your custom created band, basically, which can be distracting, I would imagine.
All I know is I was visiting a friend this weekend, and he had all his Rock Band stuff pulled out, and I'm like, well, there's only one reason you have all that Rock Band stuff pulled out after all these years.
Star Ocean 5, Another game I didn't think would see the light of day.
I didn't either. I only played one. What was it?
First Departure for the PSP.
No,
Oh, you
it
mean
was the
three?
PS2 one. It had a subtitle though, didn't it?
Till the End of Time.
Yes, I enjoyed it a lot. Never played the PSP one, but I'm excited for 5. I would check it out if it looks good.
1 and 2 are very good remakes for Super Nintendo games. I enjoy... Actually, no. The first one was a Super Nintendo game, and the second one was a PS1 game, but they're both remade for the PSP. So they're really good action games, which are very close to the Tale series. And then the 3 was pretty good.
3 got a little weird at the
4
end.
4 was really bad. It was one of my first reviews, and I think I gave it a 2, and I think I was very leaning close towards a 1 because of like the story was like so bad.
I'm all up for a new RPG. I like RPGs. I like something meaty, so.
Yeah, meat.
Yeah.
Speaking of meat, Star Wars Battlefront showed the first trailer, which is, it wasn't exactly gameplay, but it wasn't exactly CG either.
It was, yeah.
This came out from the Star Wars Celebration last week. There are some details about it. So, first of all, it will be coming out November 17th. I am calling BS on that right now because, given the track record of DICE's games, which is the Battlefield games, it either gets delayed or it ships and it's buggy as heck. Battlefield 4 was mega buggy and still continues to be buggy. Battlefield Hardline launched and it actually was good, but that's because they delayed it. So this game is actually going to launch on the 17th and be buggy, or they will delay it
next year.
And it's going to be good. I want to say it's going to get delayed because I'm just the pessimist in me. But also, with Star Wars launching in December, I don't think that they can afford to not launch it.
They'll just put out a buggy piece of crap.
They might. I'm a little disappointed that it's going to be multiplayer-focused experience. There will be like a single-player, you can play it by yourself and not online, but they're not going to have like a story campaign. They're going to have like single-player modes, but no actual campaign. The game, like the original Battlefront, will take place in the original trilogy, and you will be playing as the Empire or the Rebels. I'm actually kind of bummed about this because I loved being able to play as the Rebels, the Empire, the Trade Federation, and then the Clone Army. In the last game and some of the other portables like the DS and PSP ones. But I mean, it's a small kind of gripe. This one seems like a reboot, especially because it's just called, Star Wars Battlefront, which I can understand. I suppose. No matter what, I am looking forward to it, and I definitely gotta show it to you, and we should definitely play it because you've never played any of the games, so we gotta jump in. But let's move on. Next up, we have Lego Dimensions, which is something we talked about in episode 5, I believe. But yes, now we can finally confirm that it is true, it is happening.
There was like a little Stargate, it was great.
There's the Stargate,
Batman,
there's Wild Child, or whatever.
I can never remember her name.
It was very cheeky, it was very kind of like roll your eyes kind of humor, but I mean, they did
There's nothing wrong with roll your eyes humor, though.
It is for kids. But yeah, I'm very excited for it. I don't know, the trailer didn't really do a good job of how you're going to interact with this stuff. Like, if you build the Batmobile different, is it going to recognize it? Like, if you build it as like a tower with no wheels,
is it going to be like, oh, okay, yeah.
Well, you can't use this, but here it is in the game. It's very weird because then they would have to put a chip in every single block, and I don't know how it even does. Like,
or is it just in one block, and as long as you have that piece in there, is it going to?
It's just going to be like, however you build it, it's not going to even matter because it's going to look.
Could you just play with the block that has the chip in it?
Yeah, it's like you put the block on there unless they actually scan it. But the gate doesn't look like it has that ability to scan something. I know the Kinect had that feature where you could like scan a pillow and the pillow would appear in a game. It was like some kind of weird, wacky.
The Kinect scared me. It was always
It was Skynet.
It was. It's off, and I remember just in my friend's living room sitting down, and the Kinect's off, but it just kind of adjusted to track where I was. I was like, no, that's no.
Daisy. Daisy.
Pretty much.
Yeah, the Kinect is definitely weird. But I'm looking forward to LEGO Dimensions. We'll see how it stacks up in the whole Toys to Life genre. But I think it's time to move away from the news and to get into some game ideas.
Hey everybody, it's your host the most, it's Tristan. Are you liking the show so far? I really hope you are. I can't stress this enough, I really want to hear feedback. So drop me a line on YouTube or on my Examiner page, anywhere you feel like it. Let me know what you like about the show, what you don't like, what you want to see added. And of course, if you want to support me, you can always subscribe to the YouTube channel, as well as follow my writing on Examiner.com. That's EXAMINER, Examiner.com. It's the place to go for everything you want to know. Check it out. Now, back to the show. Alright, time for Game Ideas, which is back from the dead, which was only gone for one episode. But I got very excited for the new Star Wars trailer that just came out last week. So it made me want to do two things. Watch a bunch of movie trailers.
And talk about Star Wars
And
games.
talk about Star Wars. And I thought, what better time to talk about games I want to come out? Because, believe you and me, there's going to be a lot of Star Wars games coming out this year to celebrate the release, as well as probably next year to celebrate more Star Wars stuff coming out. So the game we know for sure is coming out this year is Battlefront, and we could probably also confirm that Disney Infinity 3.0 will be Star Wars, because they kind of hinted at it, not exactly.
Yeah, it would be really smart to do that with... And you could have that come out really before the movie without spoiling anything from your movie.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the way they could do it is they could make a playset to come out when the movie comes out, so they don't spoil anything before that. They'll do old stuff first, and then they'll make a playset to come out right around the time, so that you're also re-promoting a game that comes out probably in September, because that's when they have usually been coming out. So those are two games that we can be for sure about. Also, you had an idea. There probably is going to be some game to tie in, but they might not even need to do that if they do Disney Infinity.
That's true, yeah.
They could just do that.
Now that Disney owns it, they might not need to have the usual tie-in games that so many movies have.
Anyway, Star Wars games that I want to see. Okay, so there's only been one RPG series, which is Knights of the Old Republic. There were two games on the Xbox, which had PC ports, and were never on any other consoles. And then there was the MMO. I really wish they would do either HD port to the new consoles or make a new RPG series.
I had both of those kind of intertwined. I'd like an HD port of Knights of the Old Republic. Maybe give you a little bit more character customization with Revan. Maybe give them a voice. Add some of that stuff in.
I think BioWare's come a long way since the beginning. I just think it'd be cool. I don't even care if it's Knights of the Republic or whatever, but an RPG would be great.
When you had asked me to think of stuff, that was the first thing I said. An RPG more set back in the time of Knights of the Old Republic, so you don't have to worry so much about conflicting with the existing canon.
Well, that's why they made Mass Effect, so they could basically make Star Wars without having to worry about the canon. Because they're well, fine, we'll just make our own Star Wars then.
Well, and they did a good job, mostly.
Yeah.
Do it again.
The
lightsabers.
I also want them to bring back Star Wars 1313, which was essentially supposed to be the story of Boba Fett kind of being brought up in this bounty hunter sector, and it looked like it was supposed to be Uncharted Star Wars.
I'd be okay.
It looks really great. There's some footage still online. It was really sad that it got canceled. This was it got announced at E3.
That's surprising because Boba Fett's such a popular character too.
I know. This is because the buyout happened. Essentially. And the buyout happened when Lucas sold everything to Disney, and they cancel everything. They cancel the show, they cancel all the books. Hey, all those books that you loved that was supposed to be canon, now they're not canon. Yeah. And so I thought Disney was wow, they're really flipping the finger to everything. But they're no, we got new stuff coming out. Yeah, exactly. So now they're trying to do right, and they're actually are making games.
So they're not canon. There's still a thing called headcanon. It can be real if you want it to be real.
Anyway, some kind of new bounty hunting game would be really awesome. I'm fine with them making games in the prequel times or in the original trilogy times, but I also kind of want them to get away from it so they don't have to worry about the canon stuff if it's going to be a main set of characters, just because they have to do it in the confines, and then they'd be is this canon or is this not canon or whatever. The Force Unleashed was supposed to be canon. It was supposed to be
just bought that game today.
It was supposed to be 3.5, that the creation of the Rebels and a Secret Apprentice, and then I don't even know if it's supposed to be canon anymore. I don't know.
I don't think anything's canon except the movies.
There's retcon stuff too now, so it's just very weird. That's why I wish they would just do something way in the past or way in the future. Which I don't think
in the future would be hard because there could be some big events that happen, and it's why didn't you mention that?
And I was gonna say they should have always made a game in the expanded universe of the book series, but now they can't do that because those aren't really things anymore either. So it's going back to Battlefront though, I kind of want a Dynasty Warriors style type of game where you're a Jedi hacking robots.
Kind of like they did with Hyrule Warriors, and then
yeah, exactly, because they keep on doing that. It's like, oh, we're doing a spin-off for this title, we're doing a spin-off for this title. I think they should definitely launch out to... How
different do you think that would be, since there are a lot of ranged characters in... Because, I mean, most of the Dynasty Warriors close range, aren't they? Most of them?
Yes, there are people that have bows or other kind of, like, guns or something like that, but for the most part, everyone has some kind of melee weapon. But, I mean, like I said, they could just do Jedis or... Because there was a couple of Jedi-only games. There was, like, Masters of Terrakasi, and there was, like, Jedi Power Battles, where you're just, like, some random Jedi just beating the crap out of people, but more of a side-scrolling kind of thing. Yeah. So they could do that. Would be pretty cool. Yeah, I think just my general feel on everything is I really want an RPG, and I really want Disney Infinity to be Star Wars and have awesome figures. But yeah, let's continue this Star Wars talk and get to our next segment, which is our summer movie preview. For this Extra Life, we're going to be talking about trailers, just like
movie trailers.
Laura and I talked last time about Pixels, and that looks awful, but now we actually want to talk about some good stuff.
Mostly,
and again, this is because Star Wars came out, and I watched that thing at least a dozen times, and then I found some other good trailers.
The music, when the horns start up.
Dun, 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 dun.
Not those horns.
My father has it. Dun, 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 dun. Well, he does have a Terminator hand. So.
He does, actually.
Well, we'll get to that because I'm going to go in order of release. So this is basically a summer preview as well as a future preview of things trailers that came out that I want to talk about. So first of all, we're going to get into May. The first big release is going to be Avengers Age of Ultron, which is releasing on May 1st. And it looks awesome. I actually kind of wanted to stop watching trailers, but because I wanted to do the segment, I decided to talk about the trailer because I had to watch it. And the last trailer was pretty good. They showed
some different stuff. It wasn't all blockbuster.
They showed the Scarlet Witch and
Quicksilver?
Speed Racer actually fighting against the Avengers, which they haven't done before, which I don't understand how they tie into Ultron, but...
I'm sure they'll get to it, hopefully. Maybe. Maybe they won't.
There's a lot of characters in this movie, and it's really crazy.
Didn't you say he said like 40 named characters?
Joss Whedon was in like an interview somewhere recently. He was talking about like how crazy he was to actually put like 40-some characters in this movie.
I have to agree with him.
It's only going to get even bigger.
That seems too much for one movie.
So that looks good. I don't actually need to talk about it more because
I'm sure
it's obviously going to be good.
And it's coming up so soon. We don't really need to speculate as much.
Exactly. The next one is Poltergeist, which is launching on the 22nd of May.
Actually, I'm a big fan of the original Poltergeist. And the second one to some extent. I never saw any past two, though.
Yes.
She died, and it was really sad.
This one looks like it's
definitely like going like the old Poltergeist was a little more campy horror, and this one is going for our day horror.
Yeah, Coach was in it.
Yeah, Coach was in it. How scary can it be? Coach and Tangia, Zelda Roomstein.
This house is clean.
It was
God, scary.
I saw it when I was way too young, and I didn't want to look at trees or clowns for a long time after that.
Well, clowns are scary in general.
Who the hell buys their kid that clown toy? Like, even before it's possessed by a demon and gets a little scary looking, that was not a toy you buy a child.
So
that is a toy you buy and burn, just in case. So yeah, I'm excited. Well, I don't know if excited is the right word, but being a fan of the old Poltergeist, I want to see what happens in the reboot.
So let's move into June. So we have Pixar's new movie, which Inside Out is about a little girl. It's about a world where your emotions live in your head, and apparently the only emotions we have are fear, joy, sadness,
anger,
and fear.
You said fear.
Oh, disgust.
Disgust, yes.
Which is a weird feeling to put in the movie. I think they only did that so that someone could be like, "Ugh, gag me with a spoon" or something weird like that.
It looks like one of those Pixar movies that's going to be humorous, but then for like the adults in there, it's going to like hit you where it hurts, and you're going to be like, "Oh."
Choosing more than a feeling for the trailer, which is like very like, "Oh man, something's going to happen bad."
It's interesting because in the trailer, like, you know, it shows like the emotions which are like personified or like in turmoil, and then it shows like the effect it's having on like the person, and it seems like it could get kind of deep in a good way. This was the first time I'd seen the trailer, and I'm actually I'm very curious. It looks good.
Very, very curious. Of course, there's another trailer that we're very curious about, which is Jurassic World.
Which looks like they reopened the park from that was on the island in the first movie, because movies 2 and 3 took place on a different island, so we're finally going back to the first island. I am excited for it. I want to see it a lot.
They're basically making Godzilla.
But I am like, what the hell are you doing every time I see the trailer? You don't need to have a genetically engineered dinosaur. You got enough cool dinosaurs already, which Chris Pratt seconds in the trailer.
Okay. Oh, so you didn't think anything bad was going to happen of that?
And Chris Pratt is apparently a raptor trainer.
Yeah,
and like there's a scene where like I think they intentionally released them, and he's like riding his motorcycle, and they're like running along with him. It's like, but I've liked all of them. Like some people didn't like 3. I don't think
it's gonna be bad. I think it's just gonna be like a weird vibe, maybe.
It's dinosaurs eating people. You can't, unless you're the 1998 Godzilla, you can't really screw that up.
Yeah. Next we have July. And we have Ant-Man, which is the first actual non-teaser trailer where we actually get to see more of the plot and how things are going to work. Yeah. And I actually am excited for this one now. The first one was kind of weird, and now that they actually show more stuff...
I don't have anything against Ant-Man. I guess just for me personally, there's a lot of other characters I would have liked to have seen before Ant-Man get their own movie.
I would say that about Iron Man too, but then that turned out to be like great. They show a little bit of humor more in this one. I really hope it's going to have that vibe and not be as dark as what it kind of seems to be. But I think all the trailers make all the Marvels out to be
they always have
dark
more humor than
and there's always obviously dark spots, but it always is a good blend of humor and other stuff thrown in there as well. So it looks cool. All the shrinking and fighting humans as a little ant person it's going to look silly, but it's a freaking comic book.
Yeah, it is a comic book.
So, well, we got big expectations for Mission Impossible Rogue Nation because those movies have been grading great. I think the first one was good, the second one was bad, and then it was like dead.
I don't remember the second one.
It was dead for a long time, and then it came back, and it was amazing.
And then the third one was awesome, and...
thanks to J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, and what was the last one called? Crap. Ghost Protocol was awesome.
So Simon Pegg is back, Tom Cruise is back, doing his Tom Cruise next, Jeremy Renner.
Ving Rhames is back.
Ving Rhames is back from 3, which I'm very happy to see that he's back.
I was happy to see he's back, too.
It's a great trailer. Great song for the trailer.
It's fun seeing like the scene that they're hoping will top like Tom Cruise climbing the hotel in Dubai. I think we're pretty excited for this next movie. You might have heard us mentioning it as the podcast went on.
So yes, we would talk about Terminator, even though this is probably the least exciting trailer that we have seen, but it's so fun to do that music.
Yeah, the music, and just to hear that, like, those notes in the trailer, it's like, okay,
explain your history with Terminator.
I don't want to admit that on the internet. It will be out there forever now.
I was watching this trailer, I was trying to explain the lore. I was like, man, this series is getting more convoluted. She's like, I haven't seen any of the movies except for the
bad one. Well, maybe one of the bad ones.
The Batman one.
The Batman one, yeah. What was that? Salvation.
Yeah, Salvation.
I mean, I've seen parts of 1 and I've seen parts of 2, but no, I've never sat down and...
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I mean, I know the story well
The only
enough.
cool thing about this movie is they got Arnold Schwarzenegger back. Now he's not the Governor anymore. Yeah. So he's back as the Terminator.
Junk or no junk?
There's going to be a lot of winking. They already had it like, I'll be back, or some other stuff that he said in there. And I think it might be fun if they really do campy with it, but it's the plot of it's just like so crazy because
the time travel's getting a little nuts from what I know of the series.
Yeah, I mean, they can keep on going back in time, but like, we gotta save Connor, but then it's like, well, the next movie, like, we can go back before that one went back, and it's just like they can keep on making movies.
Do they consider the television show canon?
I think the Sarah Connor. I really don't know, actually. If it's, I think it was supposed to be canon.
Okay.
I actually don't know if it takes when it takes place in the timeline. To me, I feel like all of these movies are non-canon.
Just their own.
They're just their own. Yeah, there's like, this is the concept of what the thing is. This is our take on that concept. It's just very weird how they keep on trying to like bring it back.
Capture what the first one had.
I think they're trying to capture that again by not only having the in there, but yeah, it's definitely something to look out for. It might be just a fun movie, and that's all I'm really hoping for. Well, that's it for our summer movie preview, but we do have 3 more trailers that we want to talk about, and you notice that we do not talk about August because there's nothing really coming out in August that we really want to see. I mean, maybe a couple of new trailers will prove themselves to us. Let's instead move into November, December, and the future of 2016.
First, let's talk about Spectre, because we want to...
I'm really excited. I love Skyhold. Not Skyhold. That's a place in Dragon Age.
Skyhold! I'm in Skyhold! Dun, 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 dun.
I loved Skyfall. I loved Casino Royale. I sometimes pretend Quantum Solace didn't exist.
Tolerated Quantum Solace.
Just like MGM did.
Either way, Daniel Craig is just an awesome person, and I'm really excited to see Christoph Waltz be the bad guy in this movie, and the rumors is he's supposed to be Blofeld.
Going to be the first one in a long time that doesn't have Judi Dench in, because
That's very sad.
She was even in the Pierce Brosnan ones, and she carried over into the Daniel Craig. I really like the Daniel Craig Bonds. I like how they got away from the campiness, and they're more serious and pretty.
Yeah, but I'm also kind of like, I really want it to return for whoever the next guy is supposed to be. I kind of miss the old campiness, but I can watch Daniel Craig all day.
Yeah.
Moving all that aside, we're talking about Batman v Superman, which is a freaking stupid.
Well, it's got a subtitle.
Dawn of Justice,
yeah.
Yes. It's a dumb title not to call it Versus, they'll call it V, like, oh, we're being so edgy. I don't know, that seems like a Zack Snyder thing to do, like, it be so edgy. The trailer is very weird. They're, like, making Superman out to be, like, this false idol, which I don't know how people get to that point.
Well, he did, like, kill hundreds of thousands of people in the last movie.
Yeah.
Not hundreds of thousands, but lots of people died.
And then they have like a weird thing. They show like a statue of him, and then they write false god in it. And then they show Batman looking at a suit.
Like, it's suddenly Batman. Like the trailer, Superman, and then Batman's like, I'm brooding.
He's suddenly Batman.
He's suddenly Batman.
And he's looking at his suit. And then at the end, he's talking like a in between like Iron Man and Christian Bale Batman, where it's like he has like a robotic voice.
And he's got like this suit has these like glowing eyes. It looks like an Iron Man suit.
He's the Iron Bat.
He's the Iron Bat.
And he's like,
Batflick.
Tell me, do you bleed?
You will.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, it's just a dumb trailer. They live in different cities. How does like Batman hear about Superman and think to himself, I am going to go stop this person that just killed a bunch of people that is a literal superhuman being.
And
he's going to go to a different, like...
I didn't read the comics. And I know Batman and Superman fight. I don't know if that's how they started off, like, their first meeting, but I don't... If it is, then this makes sense. But if it isn't, is this really how you want to, like, start your, like, new series? I don't know.
In the comics, basically those two are the ones that, like, go at each other for some random stuff. And they have fought before. But to make this the beginning of the Justice League movies and to have it be, like, really dark and gritty, to be like, of course, this is not going to be, like, those two fighting. There's going to be, like, some villain in there somewhere.
That they're going to end up teaming up against. Like Lex Luthor or somebody.
It's, like, a weird, like, misleading name to be like, oh, finally, I get to see Batman and Superman fight. It's just, like, a weird thing that, like, is only...
And it's like how you said while we're talking privately. Iron Man and Captain America are basically going to fight in Civil War, but they had movies leading up to that where this is just, like... It's just happening. And of course the comics were leading up to this, but I mean, it's just, they're trying to build a world, and I don't think they're doing as good a job as Marvel is.
I can't judge this.
I haven't liked a single Superman movie.
I have, the Brendan Roth one, I'm probably going to get like a lot of, was okay. I was so bored in the last one that came out last summer. I was like, I go to a superhero movie, I'm like, yeah, I want to see people get chucked through a wall, that's why I'm here. And I was like, if I see one more person get pushed through a wall, I'm getting up and leaving. And there was just, like, no heart. Like, the biggest heart came, like, when Morpheus is, like, with his little Daily Planet reporters, and one of them's stuck, and they're like, no, we won't leave you. And it's like, most feels I'm getting out of this movie are about some reporters I don't even really care about. I can't say I hated it. There was nothing to hate.
DC, they obviously see that Marvel...
They really like crashing in on that they got Russell Crowe to be in it, which, that's fine, I guess, but I don't know.
I know they want to make their Justice League movie. I think they're having a better time on the actual TV shows, like, to tie that stuff up, because The Flash is having a lot of people from, like, that universe, like, in there. Yeah. Like, it's not even, like, they're not even teasing it. Like, freaking every Smallville thing, they couldn't show, like, a single freaking thing. It was always, like...
The Flash and Arrow have both had, like,
a lot
big
of
characters. Like,
a lot of
Ra's
Suicide
Ghul's
Squad
showing up, and Suicide Squad was in it.
Mark Hamill was in there as the trickster.
Yep, Mark Hamill's in Flash.
It's just, I don't know, it's just weird. I think they're doing a better front than the movies. I think they want to be like,
the TV shows are great.
The Marvel stuff is all fun and campy. Let's make every single DC thing super dark. And I think they actually try to be more fun with Green Lantern.
Green Lantern.
No, Green Lantern.
Oh, they make Green Lantern?
The Ryan Reynolds movie, remember?
Oh, yeah. I try not to.
Which
I forgot about that.
He was fine. I think he was the not bad part of that
fine.
movie. Yeah, it's just
again a movie I didn't hate as much as
so that's
else.
not canon. They keep on making those movies that they want to be canon, but like now that failed, that's not gonna be canon. Oh, the Superman movie, I guess we gotta start somewhere. So let's not make a Batman movie to be in the Justice part. Let's just make it Superman versus Batman. Let's just cross it over right away.
I am interested to see how Batfleck's going to be, since we haven't seen anything of him.
I don't think there's going to be anything. Except if he does that, if he literally does that voice through the entire thing, that might be very annoying, especially if he's a robot.
He's actually a robot.
Dun, 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 dun. Okay, we've been teasing this for a long time now. We already talked about it quite a bit. But, yeah, let's dissect the Star Wars trailer. Again, I haven't watched a movie trailer like repeatedly for a very long time, and I just keep on rewatching this to see like new stuff, and it's just super crazy. We're at a little bit of odds and ends here because Lauren, you think that the person talking is Mark Hamill? It's supposed to be Luke.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, unless it's like a new character that we haven't been introduced yet. Right now,
I think it's supposed to be his son, because the thing that misleads me is he says, "My father has it," which would go to Luke. Because they show Darth Vader and he's mega dead.
He's mega dead, but then he did become one with the Force again, so he does still...
kind of exist, sure, okay, so...
And I mean, like, old Darth Vader, not the retconned Hayden Christensen.
And he does say, "I have it," then he shows some guy with a robot arm touching R2-D2.
And then my sister...
But I think they specifically do that so that it is misleading.
It could be misleading.
And then he says, "My sister has it," which is some weird alien arm, which looks like it's supposed to be a Yoda, but not Yoda because it's not a green hand, giving a girl a lightsaber, which I actually think is supposed to be that girl...
The Scrapper?
The Scrapper, or maybe some other girl, because, I don't know, that person, even just by the hands, looked too young for...
Leia.
For Leia,
Terry Fisher.
For Terry Fisher, yeah.
Terry.
Yeah, so I think it's all misleading, and then...
It could, because, I mean, that's what trailers do.
Exactly, and I think this is one...
It could very well be, like, a new character,
or they could actually be
Leia's
trying
son.
to be misleading and actually be like, "No, this is actually, this is Luke, this is whatever." I don't know, especially because of Luke, because it's like his hand looks too... I would say too new, and he looks... Also, the person talking doesn't sound like Mark Hamill.
Does not sound like Mark Hamill.
So, I
would agree with that.
Yeah, so, yeah, but, and they haven't talked about... And at the end it says, "You do too." So it could be him talking to...
his son.
It could be... it could be him talking to his son.
His son talking to his son.
Or it could be him talking to one of the people in the trailer, which could be the Scrapper, the Stormtrooper, or the X-Wing pilot, which those three are supposed to be like the main characters, I believe. So, yeah, we don't really know much of a plot. We see
very little of a plot.
We see a new Sith Lord, which is broadsword lightsaber. We see new Stormtroopers, which have like a weird like smiley face kind of. We have
the X-Wings back.
We have a chrome Stormtrooper kind of thing. He looks pretty awesome.
Looks like we're on Tatooine or maybe another desert planet.
It's actually called Jakku.
I did not know.
In Star Wars Celebration, they had like a panel, and J.J. Abrams was like, "This is actually a new planet called Jakku."
That's cool. Good to see new planets. I'm excited. But man, in this trailer, when like they were showing over the desert and like those French horns or whatever started, and they're playing the theme, and it was like, yes.
I just like the part where he's like talking to like. I just like dissecting, like, I just want to know about my father and his father and whatever. I was just very excited, and then they show, like, this December, a lot of running happening, let's look at J.J. Abrams movings, a lot of the X-Wings,
I didn't see too many lens flares, though.
TIE fighter. There actually is a scene in that when the thing is, like, exploding, that actually looks like there's a lens flare in the hangar when stuff is exploding. I
love how much this movie seems to be capturing the look of, like, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah. And I think that's like a little bit easier because
it's nicer, obviously, because I mean it's how many years now? 20-some, 30-some.
I actually don't know what the actual years are supposed to be.
One came out like I'm not even gonna say anything, but it looks like the old ones. I mean, like yes, it's nicer looking, but
at the end, especially when you hear Phil Harrison.
Harrison Ford.
When Harrison Ford is like, "Chewie, we're back." And
he's all gray, and it's like, no, but yes.
But Chewie looks exactly the same.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he's not
Billy D. Williams, I mean.
I actually don't think he's supposed to be in these movies.
Well, that is a tragedy.
I hope he is.
I just... He doesn't
Lando likes the malt liquor. Pour it on the ladies. Yum. That's good. So,
well, that was a blast from the past.
Yeah, so those that don't know, my handle is Jedi Weave Penny. And that's because Oh boy.
Wasted hours of journalism class.
That was my rap name.
And that's what you want to put out on the internet.
My friend and I used to rap about Star Wars, and I was...
Not me. I was not this
No,
friend.
Lauren was not cool enough.
I was too cool.
I don't even want to get into your Star Wars fandom. Anyway...
I wasn't rapping about it.
You secretly were thinking about it. I know you were. Anyway, that was my rap name. We're talking about like 50 cents in the G unit, so I was a wheat penny because it was a 50-cent piece, so I was a wheat penny. I was Jedi wheat penny, and then my friend was J unit, which was actually not his name because J unit was actually somebody else, but not. It's very it's convoluted. I was a Jedi.
It's the convolution only a high school student would understand.
So maybe I'll put my song in here, and maybe you'll listen to it. Maybe that'll be exclusively.
He's so
in the
infamous that
bloopers.
even my college friends who didn't know him knew the raps.
I'm a pretty big deal. I do podcasts, I do games, I do music,
You do YouTube videos.
YouTube. I do porn tube, I do them all.
J-Unit and the wheat penny. Keep it real, homeboys.
Alright, and that was our trailer-heavy episode of the Examiner Gamer podcast. Of course, you can find me as always on Examiner, read my articles. You can find me on YouTube for all my crazy videos like this. You can support us on Bandcamp, help Lauren get a toilet or a treehouse.
I'm working on a floor now. Because right now the toilet's just kind of balanced precariously between two limbs of the tree.
And if you're like upset about not seeing our faces, hey, we need equipment for good quality video stuff, so I could use a new rig. We could use a lot of stuff to make this a better production. So that is why
we can see our faces while we talk.
That is why you can see our cuts and really bad edits because I don't want to be a beggar here. But please support us. Please help us.
Send help.
I love what I do, and I do it all for you. And of course, I want a little scratch on the side too because I want to make it a better show. And in order to do that, exactly. Lauren can only sell her body for so much. I mean. That's non-canon.
That's your headcanon.
That's non-canon. I talked about PornTube before, so. Anyway, any closing comments for you, Lauren?
No, not really. I'm really excited to see some of these movies.
Well, with that all said, dun 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 dun. Okay, now we're done.
See you next time.